But ultimately, there is like the flattering side of this business, right? Oh, let's all go build $1 million business. But there's also the backside of it, right? What it takes, what you can lose, what you have to sacrifice. When does the ego step in and take control, right? And so I'm going to share with you how I built a $15 million a year coaching business and got the shit kicked out of me along the way, right? I mean, it's just reality because, it's not always about what we think. It's about when you start building a machine like this, it is just that. It's a machine. And it has to be fed constantly to the extent of I was writing $800 to $1 million worth of expenses every month going out the door. And along that journey, a lot of other things came. So yes, I'm a real estate investor, been an investor 18 years, been in the info business for 15 years, been coaching for almost 15 of those years. My journey started a little different. I was at a seminar and a guy saw me and he asked me to coach some of his students. And I said, great, I wanted to coach. I loved coaching. Well, next thing you know, back in that day, we didn't have processes. It worked like this. The guy on stage said, buy my coaching package. And then they would go to Paul and say, Paul, coach him. Well, what do you want me to coach him with? You just coach him. And that's how it was back then. Anybody relate or remember back then? Yes, that's exactly how it was. And so I had a track record of making successful students. The next thing you know, I had 45 of this guy's students that I was coaching. And then I went in and said, look, I can't take anymore, but I'll help you build a coaching program to help other people be successful. So we started designing a coaching program around what I was doing. The next thing you know, I got kind of consulted out to other people in the industry to help them build. Well, along that journey, I didn't like where it was going because I kept saying, look, you got to give the student more. You got to give them more personal touch. You got to give them more involvement. You got to be involved. And it was all the bottom line, and they didn't want to do it, so I went out on my own. Best thing I ever did because I got to do it my way, but at the same time, how many of you in here understand when I say we're builders? Yes? Give me a raise of hand, please. Yeah, we're builders. That's what we do. Entrepreneurs are builders. But sometimes we build to the point that we fail to pick our head up and see where we're going. So the question that I have for you guys is, why are you building it? Think about this question as I move through this presentation with you today. Because that's a question that we have to get asked. We're always told, what's your why, what's your why, what's your why? But your why is much different than why you're building the business you're building. Does that make sense to you guys? Say yes? Good. That's a little speaker trick for you there, wasn't it? Yes or yes? So I'll try not to use too much NLP on you today because some of you will know it. So, but it's inherently in me. So anyways, a little bit about me. Some of you know me, some of you don't know me. I have two amazing kids. They are the reason I do what I do. They're the reason I walked away from a $15 million a year company. But I've been investing 18 years, coaching for over 15 of those years. I'm a coach, author, speaker, educator, infotainer, product developer, funnel builder, stage closing machine is what I like to tell people because it is what I love. I love being on stage. I love watching people perk up. But what I also love is watching people go to the back that want to work with me. Love it more than anything. There's something about moving a whole room to take action that you just can't describe until you're really good at it. So I did that for years, flew all over the country speaking. I mean, sometimes 80, 90, 100 times a year. Fell in love with that, decided I didn't want to do it anymore until about 2009 when this story starts. 2009, I went on a journey to build a $15 million a year company, and this is what it looked like. I mean, it was all of these companies under this company. REI Success Academy, association, training, live events, funding programs, coaching, mastermind, software. That was what we were building to get to $15 million a year. People say, oh, well, I want to hit 8 figures. I hear some people at this event right here talk about 8 figures. But I think you need to understand what goes behind building to an 8-figure a year business and to control lifestyle. The problem is there's a big disconnect between I want 8 million a year and I want my lifestyle too. Right? Now, some people are extremely good at systems and operation. I was not, guys. Look, I grew up in a little town in Alabama called Bluntsville, Alabama. Does anybody know where that is? Like we didn't even have a red light back then. It was a stop sign. I dropped out of high school, Didn't know what I was going to do. Next thing you know, I fell into real estate, made $1 million my first year in real estate, got invited into the info space, was really good at selling from stage, and the rest was history. So I didn't have the operational background that most successful operations do. All I knew is if we sold more, we made more money. If we sold more, we made more money. But through this process in 2009, there's a huge thing that got missing. I got into coaching, and I helped people build these coaching programs because I actually loved the idea of watching someone build something and leaving a job and having their own creation. Like it was absolutely extraordinary. And for those coaches in the room, you know what I'm talking about. When you have that success. Yes, there's good money in it, but more than anything, it was that success. Until we took it to the level of scaling it. When we took it to the level of scaling it, you lose the personal touch. You lose the, I know every student by name. You lose the, I know every student by their birthdays. I know the anniversaries. I know their kids. I know where they go on vacation. You start to lose that because you don't build a $15 million a year coaching business off of one student a month. I can promise you that. It comes by hundreds a month coming through. And it changes the dynamic of the game. So either A, you got to get really good at putting all the right components and people in place and removing yourself from the equation like Tom Kroll is doing. Love his model. No one showed me that model back then. Back in 2009, most of you weren't even in this space, right? Like we were just rocking and rolling and figuring it out along the way. But I'll say this to you. When you start breaking the 5 million, there's a sweet spot that I have found in this industry, and it's about that 4 million mark. You hover at 4 million, man, like there's no stress. You don't need all these people. You can stay in compliance very easily. You can stay under the radar, right? Like you're good. When you start going for 10 million, it changes the game. And then when you go for 15, it's a whole nother level. 20 is a whole nother level. And what happens is your ego gets in the way. And I'm sharing this story with you really to say that your ego is the demise of your success. Because the ego steps in and it takes control and it says, oh, we got to go to the next level. We got to build, we got to build, we got to build. We got to have it bigger. We got to do more marketing. Tom said something at the event yesterday. He said, find one stream and be good at it. Well, that wasn't our model. We were on YouTube. We were on Instagram. We were on Facebook. We were on direct mail, radio, TV. We were pumping hundreds of thousands of dollars a month into marketing to grow this machine. Because I had a partner, his sole goal, he wanted to hit $50 million a year. He wanted to compete with the Robert Kiyosaki's and the Than Merrills. He wanted to go after them. And I never wanted that until what? I got in it and I started grinding. The next thing you know, what happens is your head's not here anymore. Your head is here. You're so busy planning the next event, building the next funnel, doing the next product, testing this marketing, writing this copy, creating this hook. You're so busy trying to keep new, what we call lead generation tools and widgets and tripwires out into the marketplace to get people to come in. And when you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on Facebook, your tripwire gets seen really fast and you got to change it a lot. And the problem with that is you're not focused on where you want to be. And so this is what it looked like. So this all sounds great until you realize what you have to do to get there. So I'll ask you the question again. Why are you building it? If I ask you guys in the room, somebody tell me, why are you building the business that you're in? Why are you building a coaching business? That's a question. To make your students successful. But why are you building it? That's their outcome. Why are you building it? To sleep at night, which would revolve around what? Safety, security, lifestyle?
No, I actually stay up at night thinking about the fact that
Yeah. But why are you building your coaching business, though? That's what I'm trying to get. Because, see, I said all those same things, too. Well, I want my student to be successful. I want this. But let's remove that. Why did you say, look, I'm going to build a coaching business, and I'm going to keep running this coaching business, and I'm going to build this coaching business? Why did you say that? What is the outcome of it for you and why you personally want to build it? Ego. Thanks for being honest. Get paid to do it? Yeah. Most people, that's exactly what they'll say. They'll say, well, look, I want to get paid for helping people. You know, I want to build something. So what goes in the back door is this, is we had to feed this machine weekly. And when I say weekly, I meant we were spending lots of money on this thing. Like I was telling you, we're building funnels and products. I have over 35 products now, which is good. I have a whole education academy. People can log in. Oh, you want to learn how to wholesale? Here's this. You want to learn how to wholesale 5, 6 different ways? Here's all this. You want to co-wholesale? Here's this. You want to do lease options? Here's this. You want to do buy and holds? Here's this. Like we have an entire academy. But it doesn't solve the problem. It's almost too much, right? It's like you have all of this and then you start getting overwhelmed by that and then here's what comes next. How do I build a funnel for each product to get new students in to end up at the coaching model, right? And so now what happens is more work gets involved and then more. Guys, we were putting on over 40 live events a year because we decided, oh, let's go into the preview model. Anybody in here ever started or tried the preview model? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's not what it's cracked up to be. It's really not. And here's the real sad part about it is it is a very fast way to build a big list, but it is front-end heavy marketing. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're walking into an event, in some cases, $150,000 in the hole before you even walk in the front door. Before you even walk in the front door. So how do you think the students in that room feel when you're on stage trying to teach and sell, knowing that you got to cover $150,000 in expenses right out the gate? There's a little bit of pushiness, right? You guys have been into these events. You've seen them. And so instead of turning into a give and a love, it turns into a what? Yeah, what else? It turns into a push. It turns into a push, a push, a push, a push. I need you to buy. Not that I want you to see the opportunity. I need you to buy today. It removes the whole sincerity, integrity, why you're doing this out of the equation when you're trying to get to that level. And Brian had said something when he saw me in 17. He felt like I was just pitching because I was. Because we're feeding a machine. We have to sell constantly. We got a sales floor that we're walking in that sales floor saying, if you don't close $100,000 a month, you're out the door. Like we were hard sales. And then that's when you start to realize, like, is this what I want? Is this where I want to go? Is this the path that I set out on? And honestly, guys, it never was. It was never the path I set out on. The path I set out on was I wanted to build real estate, I wanted cash flow, and I wanted to help a few people along the way. Well, how quickly that can change if you're not paying attention, right? How many of you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. If you're not paying attention, it will sneak up and it will get you in a heartbeat. So I was actually flying to over half of these events towards the end. In the beginning, I was going to all my previews and I was going to all the 3-day fulfillments. Then I got pulled off. We hired a sales manager and an event person that said, Zach, you can't come to the previews anymore. People won't buy into the 3-day. And I had a hard time with that because I was like, well, these are my people. Like, I want to see them. I want to talk to them. I want to know them. I want to love on them. Zach, you can't come. All right, fine. So I only started going to the 3 days. Well, it wasn't very long into the 3 days that what did our consulting team start to tell me? You can't come to the 3 days anymore, Zach. You need to be exclusive. They need to be able to buy the next package to get to you. And I'm thinking, but no, these are my people. Okay, well, you can come in and talk for an hour and a half. And then you got to get out of there. So I'm like, all right. Now, don't get me wrong. My ego was in play. I'm flying first class, jumping on a plane, rolling in on a Saturday. What up, folks? Let's make some money. Turn the music up, DJ, right? Rah, 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 rah. And then my hour and a half's over, and I'm like, you guys are going to have an opportunity to buy coaching to work with me. You better do it, or you're not with me. I'm out. I'm headed to the airport. I'm like, whoo, that was awesome. You know, like rock star syndrome. And then you get home, and the kids are like, Dad, I'm hungry. You're like, oh, geez, that was over. So it's like, yeah, end of that rock star trip, right? But the point is that's what, because we hired somebody that took a $5 million a year company to a $100 million a year seminar company. We hired their person. Yes, that happens in this industry. You find people who have built it and you go in and offer them more money and say, come build it for me. And this was exactly what they took us through. This is what you have to do. You can't do this. You got to have front end, middle end, and back end. To the point to where I was totally isolated from my own company. Do you understand? Like it was this whole model built around me not being in it anymore. You're just the face. Show up to your mastermind. That's the people that are paying real money to see you. But then it started eating at me. I'm like, what do you mean real money? Somebody paying $300 to come to my 3-day event, that's real money. You know, somebody paying $10, $15, $20,000 for a coaching program, that's real money. And I had a hard time with it. I struggled with it. But what was the voice that kept coming up more than anything? My ego. Oh, Zach, just keep building. Just keep building. You just keep building. And at the same time, we were still running 52 webinars a year. We were constantly testing new marketing. Staff overturn was insane. I mean, you cannot build a community on force and think that they're going to stay. And that force comes not from love, it comes from what? Scared and greed, right? You're scared you're going to lose it all, so they better get busy. If you can't produce income, you can't be in this office. And it becomes not a leader, but it becomes a what? A dictator. And I lived it. I was in it. I was building it. Yes, we were hitting 8 million, then we hit 10 million, then we hit 12 million, then we hit 15 million. And I thought, oh man, this is all great. I was grinding. We were building, but I wasn't looking up. I wasn't stopping to look up because it was a 7-day grind. It was a 7-day grind, a 7-day grind. Because I thought that's what it needed to be until I ended up here in the hospital. Walking through the office one day and just collapsed. Overworked, stressed, not happy. When I started this venture in 2009, I was 180 pounds. By the time I hit the hospital bed, I was 325 pounds. Think about that for a minute. That's what building a $15 million a year coaching business did to me. Right? And I don't share this with you to impress you. Excuse me. I share this with you because this was something that could have been stopped. You know what I mean? It could have been stopped just by slowing down and looking at the whole purpose we do this, man. And the whole purpose we do this is to help people, to guide people, to lead people, to be part of their lives. Not, I'm going to be the biggest, I'm going to be the best, I'm going to build a $15, $20, $30 million a year business. But I'm saying this because there's somebody in this room that needs to hear this today. And look, it's not about growing to an 8-figure a year business. It's about finding your happy spot. Look, we don't need $15 million a year to be happy. We don't. What we need is we need to be able to have the lifestyle we want. So yeah, I was working 89 hours a week. I was managing 65 in-house employees. I was managing 25 road crew members, building in-house sales floor, which I will never do again in my life. Talk about prima donnas. Like when you got a 26-year-old kid making $700,000 a year living in Alabama, like that's hard to wrangle, you know? So, you know, and here's the other one. I was writing $800,000 checks a month in expenses. This was hard for me to concept because my personal life, I own everything free and clear. I might have $3,500 a month in expenses in my personal life, right? But but in my business world, it was this massive overhead and undertaking. And I was letting the ego get in the way. And everybody always says, oh no, but we're doing this. No, guys, it is your ego. It is that ego that gets in there and it controls you from the gut up. How many of you in here have ever heard of Garrett White? A few of you? Yeah? God changed everything. Because after this happened, I started following Garrett White. And that was what changed it all for me. When he hit me square in the face with, you're the problem. And he would say, same things I would say. Well, I was building it for my family. Oh, I'm doing it for the students. I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it for my students. Let me say this to you. How many of you in here have children or had children and are grown now, but they're still your babies, right? I got an 8 and 11-year-old. Two things happened in my life. When my daughter was 2 years old and I was doing 100+ speaking engagements a year, I came home one day and she stared at me and looked at me like she didn't know who the hell I was. And I remember it till this day. She's 11 now. I'll never forget that moment of saying, I'm not her dad. I'm just the guy that pays the bills, right? I walked away from my speaking career at that point. When I built this one 9 years ago, the deal was with my partners, I don't want to travel, I don't want to speak. Let's do all funnels and drive internet. Great. That's how it started. That was the candy to get me in the van, right? Come try this candy. Come on, Zach, you're a great closer. I'll do all the marketing. You be the front. Come on, Zach, I need you. We won't do any events. We'll do it all virtually. Come on, Zach. Come on, Zach. You make products. You can close. Come on, Zach. All right. But promise me we're not going to do events again. No. Halfway into it, what are we doing? To get to 15 million, Zach, we got to do events. But we'll hire a consultant that'll show us how to do it without you being there. Yeah, that sounds great. I want what? I want lifestyle. And then what we tell ourselves is, oh, I'm doing this for my family. But let me tell you something. I got an 8 and 11-year-old. And my 8 and 11-year-old could give a shit about this. You know what my 8 and 11-year-old want? They want me to walk to the park with them. They want me to get in the floor and color with them. They want me to hear about their crazy, wild stories that they came up and probably are lying about. That's all they want. That's all they want, right? That's all they want. Not, I'm building all this for you guys, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I teach my kids real estate investing, but I had to make that shift 2 years ago because none of this is true. It's all your ego lying to you about this. And that's how I believe. Now, yes, are there successful people out there that have massive coaching models and they're not in it anymore? Absolutely. But that's not why I set out to do it. I set out because I wanted to personally know people and take them by the hand and make them successful. And that got lost for me, and it made me very uncomfortable, and it put me in a spiral that I will never go back into again. I'm not chasing 15 million anymore. So I started asking myself this very important question. Why was I building this? I forgot about me. You guys understand that? Like building this, I forgot about me. What in the world was I trying? I was trying to make everybody else happy. I was trying to make my partner happy. I was trying to keep the lights on and staff employed and salespeople making sales, holding training after training after training, building new products to create new fun. I forgot about me. And about that same journey, I'll never forget, me and Sean McCloskey had a phone call. I was lost. I'd walked away from the $15 million a year business with my partner. I was looking for something. People said, oh man, you got to talk to Sean. He's got this amazing, mastermind for entrepreneurs just like you. And I got on the phone with Sean and we talked. And Sean was like, look, man, here's where you are. I know where you're going through. I've been through the same thing. And I'll never forget in that moment, I got an invitation, which, by the way, thank you for that invitation. And but I wasn't there mentally, right? I couldn't figure out how to take advice, much less how to put it into play. Because I was still asking myself this question many years later. So it was lifestyle for me. So I asked you the question, why do we build what we build? Ultimately, it's all for lifestyle. We want a better lifestyle. We want a better, we don't want to work as hard. And it is lifestyle, guys. It is lifestyle. And what I realized was I was not building the lifestyle I wanted. Yes, I could walk into a room and people would be like, man, I see you everywhere. You're all over YouTube and Facebook and TV. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's me. Yeah, that's me. Or you go up on the stage and the whole room would get out and cheer and you're like, they're here for me. That's ego. Guys, do you understand? Like that's ego getting in the way of what your real mission is. And it even gets worse because then you see somebody else marketing, you're like, man, they're taking my leads. I got to outmarket them now. I got to build a better funnel. I got to build better copy. I got to get a better tripwire. I got to get those leads back now. I got to spend more money than them. And it gets to a whole different level. So here's some key points I want you to take away on when I started rebuilding over the last 2 years. I knew that 4 million was the sweet spot. I absolutely knew it. I knew that that was the moment where I was the happiest. I was making the most money. We were keeping the most of the money. Because let me tell you something, 15 million sounds like a big number, doesn't it? It does. But who was talking about gross and net today? Somebody was talking about that earlier. But yeah, the net in a 15 million operation like that is like single digits, by the way. So if you're not bringing home what everybody thinks you're bringing home when you got all that overhead. But at that 4 million mark, you don't have that. There's a whole different in net with that number. And so I walked away from an 8-year partnership. And let me just share this with you guys. That was not easy. That was a hard conversation to have. Because here was the guy, the marketer, that had built the brand. He was the marketing machine. I was the face, I was the content, I was everything. And I'm going to him and I'm saying to him, I'm done. And he's like, well, what do you mean you're done? I can't do it anymore. It's killing me. It's absolutely killing me. There's a point in that conversation that you have to understand, like, there's 2 outcomes from every partnership, right? One is somebody holds remorse and they never get over it. And the other outcome is we'll get through this and we'll be friends on the other side. I'm blessed that that's how that partnership ended up. Because we both sat down and we said, look, man, there's going to be things you do that I don't like. There's going to be things that I do that you don't like. But at the end of this, I can only pray that we're still friends on the other side. And I'm happy to report that we are. If we're at an event like this, we'll sit next to each other and still break bread. We still talk every couple of weeks just about marketing strategies. And he'll shoot me, hey, Zach, you need to switch this on your funnel. Or, hey, you need to do this. But it was how we handled it going in. It was a tough blow to tell somebody you're walking away from $15 million a year business. When this guy, that was what he depended on. I didn't. I have a very nice portfolio of real estate and commercial properties, and I do private lending, and I have 2 rehab companies in operations, and I own a RIA that does me very well, and I didn't need the info business. But about that same time, another eye-opener was my accountant. She looked at me one day and she said, Zach, why do you do this info business? I said, oh man, there's so much money in it, blah, blah, blah. She's like, no, 80% of your income comes from your real estate business. I was like, what? But that's funny, right? But what have I been doing for 9 years? I had my head down grinding, but every time a deal would come up, I'd just buy it and hand it off to a property management company. A deal would come up, I'd buy it, hand it off to a property management company. Yeah, the checks were coming in, but I wasn't like looking at it, you know what I mean? I was just like, man, this is great. We're buying all this real estate. Until my accountant was like, Zach, like, why are you doing it? But it led me to, he needed it more than I did, right? I was okay with walking away from it. So I dropped my staff from all those people down to 5, which actually today I have 2. So, and I didn't do anything national level for 2 years. I just completely pulled away from events, didn't do them. Did a few little webinars here and there, but I was jaded. I was trying to find my identity again, right? I knew that there was a reason that I loved doing it, but I didn't love what I had become. And so I pulled back and I just focused on my local RIA. I've had a local RIA for 11 years, kind of like what you were talking about, Steve. And I just started working with local people again and started getting my groove back, you know what I mean? Like, why I loved it. And what I realized was I would stand up and say, hey, I'm going to coach some people who wants to work with me. They'd all come to me, like a Wyatt Reed, one of our most successful coaching students, right? And now I'm opening a business with him. And, and it was just that involvement to be able to have that type, and I felt the love again. I knew my students again. I knew them by first name. We would hang out. We'd go to golf. We'd go to dinners. Like I knew their family. Like I felt the love again. But I also knew it wasn't scalable. And that's the demon that I fight with. The ego. It's great money. I make we'll probably book over $1 million this year with my RIA. And it's on a small level. I can handle it. 6 students at a time. I'm great with it. Private lending to them. I'm great. But at the same time, I struggle with keeping that ego at check. I struggle with it on a daily basis because I know what I can do. But I know what I can do is also my Achilles heel. Does that make sense? Because I know if I go that route, I'm sacrificing who I am again. because it's a demon inside of me that just says, oh, build, build, build. No, no, no. Why am I doing this lifestyle? I constantly battle with it. When me and Wyatt started talking about building the real estate branch out even more, I said, look, I don't want to do it, but I'll fund everything if you do it. I was like, I'll give you the office, I'll give you the equipment, I'll fund all the marketing, we'll set it all up, but I don't want to do it. Because why? If I do it, what's going to happen? I'm not going to stop. I'm going to go and go and go and go. I'm going to try to knock out all my competition. I'm going to kick tag over here out of Huntsville, right? It's just in my nature, right? It's in my nature to be that investor, to be that business, and I have to know that so that I don't do it. So I focused locally, went after that, got our local re-up over $1 million. Best part about it is I had no overhead. I had a hotel. I'm like, Brandon, I don't want to do this in a restaurant. I have a hotel expense, but all my staff was volunteer. Like it was all volunteer. I don't have salespeople. I just say I got coaching and they go fill it out. I put 25 of my RIA members onto a virtual boot camp. We did $185,000. I had no salespeople, no AV guy, no nothing. It was just me at home in front of a computer saying, hey guys, here's what you learned. Oh, by the way, I got coaching. Fill this application out. And I'll go look at them. So anyways, we started back on the national level. Now we're pushing. We should hit close to 4 million this year, back out again. But I'm doing it differently. Best part, I'm home all day now. I take my kids to private school every morning. I pick them up from school every evening. I'm at the park with them all day. I'm doing homework with them. Like I'm in it now. I'm not running a business. I'm running my life. Make sense? Yes? I'm making the shift. It takes time though. And I live a much simpler life now. There again, it goes back to what? Say it with me. Say it, Lily. One more time. That's what it boils down to, guys. So here's what I'm going to end with, you guys. I'm going to give you some helpful tips, and then I'll get out of here with my sob story. Hopefully, it gives you some insight on that big journey and what it would look like. But I believe hire coaches within your student base. When you're ready to grow, bring a coaching student up. Don't go hire someone else that's never worked with you before. Offer special bonuses to them. I believe that if they make a student successful, they should be rewarded for that. Give them a piece of the pie. I create a training center for them. Here's my belief in this. A coach should focus on execution, not training. Here's why. Because the people are buying coaching to learn my theories and my investing strategy, not my coach's. So the coach's job is one reason, to help them implement and stay focused. But if they want to learn how to fill out a contract, go watch the module in the portal. Learn from Zack. Don't teach them. Help them execute. The portal teaches them from me, okay? I set up auto scheduler, so we don't, student, we put up a calendar, they go and pick their times, and then it automates everything and reminds them and keeps them in check. We don't allow one coach to have more than 15 students. That's the threshold for us. At that point, we start to see a lot of fall off rate and unsuccessful students. And so we have bi-weekly coaching meetings. We also compliance everything. I'm just saying you have to. Every coach has to compliance every meeting, every conversation. And so what we're doing now is we're moving away from phone call coaching and going to Zoom coaching so that we can auto record it and it can drop into our cloud that we can then put into their file and keep it for however long we need so that we have that video recording. Also, we have all of our coaches give a welcome call. This is not a paid call, by the way. This is not a paid call. This is a call to welcome them as their new coach and to set goals and expectations with that student for the future outcome. The reason that's important because anybody in this room who's coaching, 2 weeks, 2 months down the road, shiny object comes in and your student now wants to do what? Oh, I want to go this way now. Whoa. Let me go back to our first goal setting. Listen, this is the path we're on. If you want to change that path, we need to set new goals. But now we have less time to get there because we've been working on this set of goals all the way to here. So we set compliance with goals and expectation. Guys, that's what I got for you today. I hope it was useful. All right. Yes. Take a picture of that. If I can help you guys in any way, please reach out. I'm an open book. I love to love on people. I do podcasts. I do webinars. I mean, you get a live event and you want a closer, call me. I'll come in and run them all to the back of the room for you if that's what you want. But, I mean, that's just what I do. But here's my thing. You're not going to get the help you need if you don't ask for it, right? If I can bring value to you, let me know. Here's what I'll leave you with. Build your life first, then build your business around it, okay? Thanks, guys.